Now, the European Union apparently wants to agree a deal with the UK that would make it easier for those aged 18 to 30, at least initially, to study and work in the wake of Brexit. Well, it's been said that this would be a limited arrangement and not a full restoration of free movement, so the European Commission says at any rate. But can we trust this? And is this just a way for the EU to subtly try to get us back into the European club? Well, we can now debate this with the Deputy Leader of the Rejoin EU Party, Jim Newell, and the former Leader of UKIP, Henry Bolton. Two very different takes on this. Now, why don't we start with you, Jim Newell? So we voted to leave the European Union. Why on earth should we be getting closer free movement deals?
Well, I mean, I think the deal would have a number of advantages. First of all, I think it would help to relieve shortages in the areas of hospitality, seasonal agricultural work, the health sector and so on. I think it would be a good thing because it would help benefit young people. It would help improve EU-UK relations because, as Ursula von der Leyen has said, she said, the more we have young people being on both sides of the channel, the more we can increase the possibility and probability that we'll be on good terms because the next generation knows each other very well. And yes, I think it's true that it might lead to more people coming to the UK than it sends to the EU. But you have to take account of what the EU arrivals add to the economy while they're here. You have to take account of the contributions that the inward mobility will allow them to make to their own economies and therefore to UK export markets. So I think it's something we should. So can I just add to that also? I think it's interesting that Marc Francois has actually sounded very open to the deal. He said he would have to look at the details, but he said, well, this shows that leaving the EU didn't mean that we would actually be ostracised as the Remainers claimed. So he's actually open to the idea.
OK, Jim, I need to let Henry Bolton have a say. Henry, Jim paints a utopian picture, a picture almost as if Brexit never happened. What's your take?
Well, my take is, as you could predict, Martin, rather different. Look, we have got record levels of immigration into this country. To say that there aren't enough people here to work in the hospitality sector is absolute rubbish. Not only that, the hospitality sector was already having a problem with Brexit, with having people working for them before Brexit, and that was because the salary differential between countries like Poland and the rest of Western Europe, if you like, was closing. So there wasn't as much interest in countries like Poland, and a number of people were already going back before Brexit. So that doesn't, it doesn't count. You talk about young people. Well, actually, young people can still travel to the European Union. They can still do it. Anybody can. If it's whether you want to live there and work there, that's a different thing. And if then we're talking about students, because with this I understand is a scheme that would only apply to people of 30 years and below. If we're talking about students, then actually under the touring scheme, the UK scheme, 2022-23, the touring scheme has placed 41,175 British students in universities abroad. So, we don't need that interaction any more than we've already got it. People can still travel backwards and forth. My concern here is that this is actually a European Union attempt to undermine Brexit by convincing younger people that you need the European Union because at age 30 they won't have that little facility. Well, they still will, unless they want to live in the European Union, in which case they have to apply for a residence permit. That's absolutely normal. And I tell you what, this idea that you didn't have to do that before is absolutely for the birds. I worked in the European Union in Brussels for the European Commission. I had to register my address. I had to prove my address to the police. I had to prove my work to the local authority. Only then would they allow me to live and work there. So,
OK, Henry, I need to interject and let Jim. I need to interject to let Jim have a go. Jim, I want to put something else to you as well, that since Brexit, the terms of the Schengen Agreement have changed. In fact, on March the 31st, Bulgaria and Romania were opened into the Schengen area by your beloved Ursula von der Leyen there. That's a potential audience of 25 million who can travel free without passport checks, without airport checks into the 27 member states. There are already 1.56 million Bulgarians and Romanians in the UK with substantial family ties. The landscape has changed. There'll be even more people that would want to come to the UK now.
Yes, I entirely agree with you, but I think that's a good thing personally. I appreciate the cultural benefits of having people come to the UK. I appreciate the contribution that people make to the UK economy. I don't think that we can be very successful in solving the various problems that we face these days without international cooperation and international integration.
Thank you, Martin. Look, we have already got a problem providing housing for the people already here, let alone bringing even more numbers in. The other thing is Romania and Bulgaria. I was responsible for dealing with transnational organised crime across the southern Balkans and Eastern Europe in 2003 to 2006. One of the reasons Romania and Bulgaria did not get freedom of movement at that time, when they joined the European Union a little bit later, but when they didn't get freedom of movement because of the rate of organised crime that the rest of the European Union was concerned would come in, particularly fraudulent type of crime. And we've just seen a group of criminals from that area, from Romania, who have been responsible for 50 million of benefit fraud, something that the Prime Minister is presently, rightly, in a broad sense, trying to crack down on. I agree that maybe the methodology isn't quite right, but the point is that you import not just good workers, not just well-meaning people, but a whole range of people who you can't vet and who are going to bring you problems, whether it's pressure on your public services and your housing, or whether it's criminality. That's the reality. And we've got enough people here to do all the jobs that we need to do. There's another approach that's needed. And we left the European Union in order to take control. Control was, we were given control by Brexit. What's failed here is a government and a parliament and a whole bunch of activists, I'm sorry, like you, Jim, who actually turn around and say, well, we don't want control. We effectively want open borders. Well, I'm sorry, I don't think that's idealistic, perhaps, but we cannot support that. And bear in mind that this is an open door then to the future flood that's going to come from Africa. 2050, the African population is going to have doubled. Africa can't support that population. If we have got this sort of laissez-faire approach, by the time that happens, by the time they move north to Europe, then we've got an almighty problem.
OK, gentlemen, we simply have to leave it there. We're out of time. A feisty Friday debate. Thank you very much, Henry Bolton and Jim Newell, the Deputy Leader of the Rejoin EU Party. Two very different takes. That's what we like to do on GB News. Give everybody a good ding-dong.